Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc., okay, which is a nonviolent, not-for-profit organization that believes in the eradication of senseless violence, shootings and killings, the abuse of women and children, the abuse and the robbery of our seniors and our
Some
elders.
gestures are full of tenderness.
I'm the president of United in Peace, Inc. I'm also known as the urban translator that believe in fighting for criminal justice reform, fairness, redemption, in the name of humanity, to free those that were wrongfully convicted, unjust sentenced, in order to bring about public safety as well as public health now that they have made violence a health problem. And I'm also an advocate against malicious prosecutors that are wrongfully pushing the narrative that individuals shouldn't be free because the prosecutors created misconduct. We're going to talk about that. We already know about the violence, and it got to stop. But this show today is very important to help eradicate the racism against State's Attorney Kim Foxx, because they want to bring the State's Attorney's office back to what it used to be when it was covering up police misconduct, inclusive of brutality, torture, and murder in some cases. This show is being brought together, and the issues that I'm speaking on was put together by the director of this show. And that's none other than the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., my wife, to God be the glory for blessing me, Terry Marsh Bradley, and the technical workmanship for this show is being done by Brother Omari. So with that, I want to say to God be the glory. Let us get on with this story. So, Brother Omari, let's start off with this. Beneco began serving a sentence. I want to speak on this story before you hit it. No, that's good. Leave it right there. I want to speak on this story because it's about Dan Webb, the special prosecutor that was brought in for the Smollett trial by the same judge, Judge Tuning or Tuman, whatever his name is, appointed Dan Webb. He also appointed Dan Webb as a special prosecutor in this trial that you're about to see, where Daley's nephew, who had pled guilty to have something to do with a young man that was murdered in the Rush Street area. Yet he got 60 days. And that was a murder, felony murder. And Ron Safer, not Ron Safer, we're going to talk about him, and Dan Webb come back and he makes the decision, I'm going to play this and let the people hear it for themselves. Don't take it for out the word out the mouth of a black man. Hit that right there.
Today in the case of R.J.
Turn
Vaneco,
up
the
some. There you
nephew
go.
of former Mayor Richard M. Daley. 4 days ago, R.J. Vaneco pleaded guilty to killing David Kochman. Today, the special prosecutor's full report was released, raising some serious questions about the job police and prosecutors did and whether City Hall clout played a role in justice being delayed for nearly a decade.
And NBC5's political editor Carol Marine here with us now with what she's found in the report.
Dick and Marion, this is the full report released this morning by Dan Webb's office. In it are references to how police dropped the ball in not just one, but 2 investigations, and how the state's attorney's office passed on bringing charges against then Mayor Daley's nephew, R.J. Vaneco. Why? Lawyers for Kochman's mother, Nancy, had this answer this morning.
They said, holy crap, the mayor's family may be involved.
The 162-page report stated a top aide to Mayor Richard Daley was informed shortly after the incident that R.J. Vaneco was involved, and that staffer immediately informed Mayor Daley in person of what he'd heard. While Webb's office said in a press release there was no evidence that Daley or his family attempted to influence the investigation, lawyers for Nancy Kochman argue police and prosecutors knew what was at stake.
No phone call needed to be made. What happened here was an investigation that was treated as a political football from day one.
The Webb report chronicles 2 investigations, one in 2004 and a reinvestigation in 2011, in which files went missing, witnesses were improperly questioned, and the police asserted that David Kochman was at fault that night on Division Street when he was punched by Vaneco. Nancy Kochman, her attorneys said, was left without a clue.
While police and prosecutors focused on covering themselves from allegations that they might be responsible for criminally charging a Daley family member.
As Nancy Kochman told us in 2011, the only time a Chicago police officer offered any information was to tell her this:
that I would be very impressed by the names of the people who were involved.
and that her son was to blame.
He turned the whole thing to my son started it, provoked it.
A lie. And that is the only thing that she was told by this police department. Shame on them.
The Chicago Police Department asked for comment, said it has Webb's report and is reviewing it. The state's attorney, Anita Alvarez, her office has said they will release a statement. We have not yet received it. Marion and Dick.
You've been working on this case for several years now, you and the reporters from Novak and Fusco from the Sun-Times. How did you first learn about all of this?
It really was Tim Novak's tenacity in saying whatever happened to that case and filing a Freedom of Information Act request to learn to his and our amazement that it was still open. And that began the cascade of revelation after revelation all the way up until today.
Good work to all of you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
work
Carol.
all the way around. Thanks, Carol.
Now, Brother Mari, there's another piece that's coming on right behind that. I believe it's going to be where they did Kim Fox. Let's see.
The nephew of former Mayor Daley, Richard.
Let me see.
Travel.
Before you bring it down, let's see if this is it.
Richard Vaneco pleads guilty to manslaughter. He punched David Kochman outside a
Play
bar
that,
nearly
play that.
10 years ago.
Play that.
Today, Kochman's mother says justice was finally served.
NBC5's political editor Carol Marine worked with the Sun-Times in bringing attention to this case. She joins us now live from the Cook County Courthouse in Rolling Meadows with more. Carol.
Marion and Rob, it was clear here that a plea deal was underway when suddenly reporters saw R.J. Vaneco and Nancy Kochman, neither of whom were scheduled to appear here, walk into this Rolling Meadows courthouse.
This was all I ever wanted. I only wanted someone to say they were sorry.
That's what Nancy Kochman finally got today when Richard R.J. Vaneco made a sudden and surprise appearance in Rolling Meadows criminal courts to plead guilty to the 2004 involuntary manslaughter of her then 21-year-old son, David. Van Echo, 39, will serve 60 days in the county jail, 60 days home confinement, 30 months probation, and pay $20,000 restitution. In court, the grandson and nephew of two mayors Daley turned to Nancy Koshman, who was seeing him in person for the very first time, and said this: "I have felt terrible since the moment that I heard David was injured. When he passed, I was shocked. I extend my sincerest apology." Nancy Koshman accepted that apology.
I said thank you. It probably wasn't easy. I've never been out. I know he didn't go out to hurt David that night.
It was Special Prosecutor Dan Webb who, after Chicago police and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office failed to ever charge the case, brought the indictment and secured Van Echo's conviction.
Today, Mr. Van Echo stands as a convicted felon.
It was 2004 that Van Echo threw a single punch in an altercation on Division Street from which David Koshman never recovered. Nancy Koshman left court with her sister Sue by her side to visit her son's grave and to tell him, she said, that she fought for him. There remains one piece of unfinished business. Special Prosecutor Dan Webb has written an extensive report of what did or did not happen within the criminal justice system that never managed to indict R.J. Van Echo until Webb was appointed. That extensive report will be released on Monday and will be carefully read by everyone in this court system. Back to you, Robin Marion. I'm live at the criminal courts of Rolling Meadows.
Carol Marine, I know it was a lot of hard work on your part and those of the Sun-Times. We appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mark. You know, when they came out with the thing about Kim Fox, and after Brother Smollett, they came out with the same type of special prosecutor report. But in what you just heard and what you just witnessed, that was murder. That was cover up. Yes, you don't hear the people screaming
Just helping make a Christmas special
for the assistant state's attorneys, nor the state's attorney, nor the special prosecutor that was involved in this to have their license to practice law taken away. But when you see the special prosecutor and what they just did or what they putting out across the media in the Smollett case, which was a number 4 felony, which is tantamount to almost jaywalking. And you hear the special prosecutor release the report on that case and what transpired or what they felt should have transpired. You hear them screaming that Kim Fox is not a good state's attorney. Her office is ruined, but we're telling you that she didn't commit a crime. No one in her office committed a crime, but we feel that she did something that was wrong to let this happen. But when you just heard all the wrong things that was done in the cover-up of the murder of that young man on Rush Street, to the point that Van Echo, whatever his name is, only got 60 days. 60 days. And check this out. He committed the crime in Cook County, but he didn't do a day in Cook County jail. Okay? He was also, I think he did it in Kane County or whatever county. It was not Cook County. 60 days. And he was allowed to pay for his stay while he was in that county jail, so that it wouldn't have been charged to the Cook County taxpayers. Okay? And you saw, well, he didn't have a $10,000, he had a $20,000 restitution that he had to pay. And he was allowed to give an apology to justify what he did. Yet, the same special prosecutor Dan Webb, the same judge that appointed Dan Webb special prosecutor in that case, and appointed Dan Webb the special prosecutor in the case for Smollett. Now they trying to give the inference like Kim Foxx was a bad state's attorney, only because I'm of the opinion, and hundreds of thousands of others that re-elected Kim Foxx to the state's attorney to make sure, they re-elected her to make sure that the state's attorney's office don't go back to the way it was when Dan Webb was appointed special prosecutor in the Kaufman case. So now they come with the thing with Dan Webb again, same judge. The Smollett case. All Kim Foxx did was so wrong in the Smollett case. They ran that same narrative during the re-election campaign or the last campaign for Cook County State's Attorney that Kim Foxx won. People, do not be fooled. What you're seeing is what it is, a continued racist effort to get rid of an African-American woman that's a state's attorney that believes in fair prosecution and criminal justice reform. Based on the evidence that's presented, the Illinois and United States Constitution. So we're going to move on. Because the next story that I want to bring up, this is right here, brother Omari. Could you hit this here? This story right here? And it's the story that's dealing with Kanye West having his, hit this story right here.
Kanye West helping make a Christmas special for hundreds of Chicago kids. A 16th Ward Alderman Stephanie Coleman partnering with Kanye West and popular business owners for a massive toy giveaway. Take a look. This happened today. Volunteers handing out more than 4,000 toys to children in the city's Englewood neighborhood. Officials saying Mr. West purchased the majority of those toys.
Now come down to the next story. No. It's on this here.
But do you know your health quotient score?
Come down.
Find out with a comprehensive health profile from Quest.
The story that you got up there? Yeah, come down. You're going to see another one right there. Come down right here. Hold it before you hit it.
Alan, the performer is...
In this related story that they keep playing,
Kanye West on stage giving a concert.
They're mad. Put the pause on that right quick. Back it up something, right there. They're mad because Kanye West and Drake came together to stop their beefing in order to put emphasis and attention on fairness and redemption in the name of humanity by having a benefit concert that went global and is about freeing Larry Hoover based on fairness, based on the law, and redemption in the name of humanity. And everyone was mad, everyone was glad pretty much, because it went to 240 countries. It was streamed to 240 countries. It was in LA at the Coliseum, where I'm hearing there was a total of from 73,000 to 78,000 individuals in there. Black, white, Hispanic, Hebrews, Muslims, Christians, various street organizations, fraternities, sororities, religious leaders, business leaders. And at one time, everyone in the stadium was screaming, "Free Larry Hoover. Free Larry Hoover. Free Larry Hoover." Because Larry was a part of a trial where 9 individuals was on the case as defendants. I know because I was a witness for the defendants, inclusively of Larry Hoover, during that trial. Fast forward. Because of the law that was changed, I think it's fast sentencing or first step or whatever it is, 6 of the individuals out the 9 were freed because of this law. When it came time for Larry Hoover to be able to get his fairness because of the law, Ronald Safer and others telling the judge he shouldn't frame him and all that and making him. I'm going to let you hear this for yourself. Hit that, Brother Omari.
The performer is Kanye West on stage giving a concert for a killer, the convicted Chicago street gang racketeer Larry Hoover, who is currently serving multiple life sentences. Even at age 71, law enforcement officials say Hoover is considered the capo of the gangster disciples. Kanye West and fellow rapper Drake last night here at the Los Angeles Coliseum performing for this cause, emblazoned on concessions for sale. Free Hoover, Larry Hoover, considered by authorities to be Chicago's most powerful and bloodthirsty living gangster. Hoover now serving 6 life sentences here at the Supermax prison in Colorado for his role as the murderous chairman of Chicago's ruthless gangster disciples.
Larry Hoover was the undisputed leader of the largest monolithic gang in the nation.
Hoover, as guest of honor in absentia, doesn't sit well with Ron Safer, former assistant U.S. attorney in Chicago, who convicted him in 1997 of murder, conspiracy, extortion, and money laundering. Hoover's gang was doing $100 million a year in illicit business, and Safer says killing hundreds of people along the way.
That was the driving force behind the largest murder total that the city of Chicago has ever known. The majority of those tied to the gangster disciples.
Here in 2018, Kanye West asked President Trump to commute the killer's sentence, but nothing came of that. So last night's fundraiser was streamed live to more than 240 nations on Amazon Prime Video from the University of Southern California venue.
It is hard to imagine that the persons who are running that university and allowing their facilities to be used to benefit this kind of a criminal know the history behind Larry Hoover.
In a statement to the ABC 7i team, USC said the Coliseum is a public venue and that the university appreciates causes and viewpoints from all perspectives. Amazon officials did not reply to our request for comment on why they provided a global platform for a convicted murderer and Chicago gang leader. Hoover's attorney also did not respond. Alan?
Now, you know, what gets me? First off, ABC News needs to apologize because what they said was a total lie. The way they said it and how they created that picture where they showed all those drugs and all that, none of that was brought into the trial as evidence in Larry Hoover's trial. And something else, Larry Hoover didn't get 6 life terms on a case. The indictment didn't say that it was no murder attributed to that case. So they pushing a narrative that's not true. that's full of lies. And Mr. Safer, now that he's in private practice as a defense attorney, he's fighting against the laws that he broke when he was a United States assistant prosecutor called Title III. Let me read something to you. And it's a matter of public court document about Mr. Safer. This was an appellate court judge in the 7th Circuit United States Appellate Court. I join the court's opinion. I write separately only to express my concern about the findings of a previous panel of this court regarding the government's failure to have the Vienna surveillance tapes sealed immediately upon expiration of the surveillance warrant as 18 U.S.C. 2518 8A required. See United States versus Jackson. 207 F as in Frank, 3rd, 910, 915 to 918, 7th Circuit. Remanded on the grounds 531 U.S. 953, 121 Circuit. 376, 148, L as in Larry, edition, 2nd, 290, in the year 2000. Jackson concluded that none of the documented reasons that the government gave to the district court for waiting 32 days to have the tape sealed constituted the satisfactory explanation for the delay that section 2518 8A demands. 207 F as in Frank, 3rd at 915 to 918. Rather than ordering the tapes suppressed, however, they were supposed to suppress those tapes because Safer and them violated the law. They were supposed to seal it so that they couldn't alter the tapes or edit the tapes or add some other things in there. Rather than ordering the tapes suppressed, however, the court embraced an explanation founded on the facts that were not asserted in the affidavit submitted by the prosecutor. You hear me? They broke all laws. He broke all laws. So he should be disbarred. Especially after this fiasco that I just saw. The court embraced an explanation founded on facts that were not asserted in the affidavit submitted by the prosecutor in charge of the surveillance. IAD at 918. If indeed the real reason for the delay was the government's explanation based on the assurance of technicians not a new and smaller microphone would become available within a day or two, an assurance that purportedly was repeated until finally they're talking about a bug that they put in the visitors' passes, widening them without getting permission from no one that they put the badge on. And not only that, that happened in the Southern District of Illinois, not in the Northern District of Illinois. There's a reason The Southern District can't have nothing wired in the Northern District without getting permission from the courts within that district. Broke all kind of laws. Talking about Mr. Safer. And to see him still push this narrative so anti-Larry Hoover and has no problem. I read all the different articles. He had no problem with who get freed from the penitentiary. He don't care if it's a double axe murderer. He don't care who it is. He don't care if it's terrorists. He don't care who it is. As long as Larry Hoover don't get fairness. That's racist. That's bias. To help cover up the laws that he broke. If indeed the real reason for the delay was the government's explanation based on the assurance of technicians that a new and smaller microphone will become available within a day or two, an assurance that purportedly was repeated until finally it became clear that a few days were going to stretch on indefinitely. They were supposed to seal them tapes once the warrant was up. That was the law. It became clear that a few days was going to stretch on indefinitely. Then I cannot fathom why that reason was not spelled out in the affidavit, which was the only evidence before the district court that remains the only evidence before this court. Talking about the U.S. Appellate Court. As to the explanation for delaying and selling the tapes. Even more perplexing to me is this court's decision. She said, appellate court judge, I believe her name was Rovner, if I'm not mistaken, but this is what she said. Even more perplexing to me is this court's decision to accept as a satisfactory explanation for the decision to accept as a satisfactory explanation for the delay an asserted reason which, although it may be true and accurate, has no support in the record. What that means, if it wasn't in the district court and argued, it cannot be added in the appellate court. That is the law. People, that is the law. If it's not argued in the district court, mentioned in the district court, it cannot be used in the appellate court. She says, even more perplexing to me is this court's decision to accept as a satisfactory explanation for the decision to accept as a satisfactory explanation for the delay an asserted reason which, although it may be true and accurate, it has no support in the record. We routinely, the courts routinely, by law, we routinely disregard arguments premised upon factual assertions that are not borne out by the record. United States versus Phillips, 914, F as in Frank, second, 835, 8340, in the 7th Circuit, 1990. An appellant may not attempt to build a new record on appeal to support his position with evidence that was never admitted in court. Let me read that to you again. According to United States versus Phillips, 914, F as in Frank, period, second, 835, and 840 within the 7th Circuit Court, 1990. And it says, an appellate may not attempt to build a new record on appeal to support his position with evidence that was never admitted in the courts. Box versus ANPT Company. 772, F as in Frank, second, 1372, 1379. In the 7th Circuit, 1985. Arguments and briefs are not evidence. Cert denied. Supreme Court also see Akins, they name in the courts. Russell versus Southward, 53 U.S. This is what she also stated. We do not, speaking for the courts, speaking for the system that's supposed to be fair to everyone. We talking about fairness, redemption, in the name of humanity. Be fair. And she states, we do not allow parties to stray beyond the bounds of the record for reasons so obvious and familiar that they scarcely require mention. If the evidence upon which a party bases its argument is not in the record, then the opposing party has not had the opportunity to respond appropriately. They denied Larry's rights. The district court has never had the opportunity to assess that evidence because it wasn't mentioned. So Larry and them lawyers couldn't even argue it. The district court has never had the opportunity to assess that evidence. And last, but by no means least, when push comes to shove, the evidence may never materialize. Litigants often make representations that turn out to be inaccurate. I have no reason, that's her speaking, I have no reason to think that the government has misrepresented the facts, but if indeed the real reason for the delay in sealing the tapes was the prosecutor's expectation that a more discreet microphone would shortly become available, then some evidence of that explanation should have been produced long before the record closed and the Jackson case was on appeal. So when they did that, they knew that Larry's trial was coming. So they made all the moves in the Jackson case, in the appeal case. And they denied them in the Jackson case and made it a part of the law where this appellate court judge had to go along with the wrong thing that was happening in the appellate court because her hands was tied because of the decision in the Jackson case. That's how they get us. That's how Safer can talk like he's talking. But I'm saying this because I was a witness in that courtroom on behalf of the defendants. And I've been thinking about this for days. I pondered this. I stopped going out the step. I stopped doing everything. I just said that something got to be done. Something got to be said. Somebody got to say something. The Lord has got to come out and say something. And God just told me, Gator, you can say something because you know the truth. And now it ain't just you. It's documented. It's in the record. And Safer knows it. And when you use Channel 7, the #1 news, and when you use a commentator that I had respect for because I thought he was a great investigative reporter, to push these lies and this narrative because these two black men came together to stop beefing and to help push for fairness in the system, the only court system that we have in America. because this can help save lives on these streets. Somebody got to say something. If I don't say nothing now, I'll be dead and gone tomorrow. Lord knows, I thank you, God, for allowing me to say something on this platform that you presented for me. To wake all you up, my listening and viewing audience. Tell your babies to get this here and find out what's up. Get it right. Stop that senseless violence, shootings and killings. The raping and abuse of women and children. The robbing and disrespect of our elders. Stop it. See what Safe and them doing? They mad because these brothers decide to come together because last said y'all need to stop beefing. Y'all got to come together. They beefing and killing and all. You see it? I'm not telling you nothing you don't know that you don't witness. We held hostage within our homes because of this violence and stuff that's happening. And anybody got a problem with anyone that wants to use their voice to say stop killing, we as a people got to have a problem with them. Especially when the majority of the shootings that's happening in our community to African Americans is being done by other African Americans. It's incumbent on us as a people to do everything that we got to do to help stop this killing. Let me finish. I'm about to close out. Go back. She says, I have no reason to think that the government has misrepresented the facts. But if indeed the real reason for the delay in selling the tapes was the prosecutor's explanation or expectation that a more discreet microphone would surely become available, then some evidence of that explanation should have been produced long before the record closed and the Jackson case was on appeal. Instead, the unverified and untested factual assertions of a brief have become the foundation for the law of this circuit, binding the panel after panel hearing the Gangster Disciples' appeals and defendant after defendant, none of whom have ever seen any evidence bearing out the government's asserted rationale for the delay in selling the tapes. She says this: our credibility as a judiciary depends in great measure upon the consistency and fairness of which we honor our own rules. In oral argument, Mr. Edwards, who was one of the individuals who just got freed under the law in Larry's case, because he was one of the 9 defendants, counsel observed that if he were to make assertions outside the record, we, talking about the federal court, and he's speaking as one of the defendants, which was Mr. Edwards' attorney. He's saying we, talking about all the other attorneys, defendants' attorneys, would not tolerate it for a moment. And this is what the appellate court judge is saying. In oral argument, Mr. Edwards' counsel observed that if we were to make assertions outside the record, we would not tolerate it. What he is saying, and what the judge is saying, that if the defense attorneys had did what Safe and them had did, it would not be tolerated for a moment. And she says, Mr. Edwards' attorney, she says this: he is right. The government should be treated no differently. This is what she is saying. It's not what Gator is saying. I'm reading what she is saying. And it's a matter of public record. The case is Larry Hoover versus the government, appeal case. The government should be treated no differently. Obviously, suppression of the tapes described in Jackson as some of the government's strongest evidence. The only evidence they had. The government should be treated no differently. Obviously, suppression of the tapes described in Jackson as some of the government's strongest evidence. According to 207F, 3rd at 913, and here as its best evidence, evidence so crushing that the rest of the prosecution's case scarcely mattered. That was the ante at 1055, might have dire ramifications for the government's case. Yet the stakes were no doubt apparent to the government when the affidavit was prepared. I do not understand why the government, okay, here it is. Best evidence. Evidence so crushing that the rest of the prosecutor's case scarcely mattered. Might have dire ramifications for the government's case. Yet the stakes were no doubt apparent to the government when the affidavit was prepared. I do not understand why the government should be relieved of the obligation to make a record in support of its arguments, particularly its real reason for a crucial delay in complying. A crucial delay in complying with the statutory requirement when we would not relieve any other litigant of the obligation. Simply because the ramifications are obvious does not justify a departure from the basic tenements of fairness, common sense, and the rule of law. It is with the greatest reluctance that I criticize the holding of another panel of my colleagues. But the same issue that confronted the panel in Jackson is squarely presented here. And the briefing in this case makes this abundantly clear that the key facts on which Jackson relied have no support in the record. Jackson itself leaves little doubt in that regard. After much reflection, and a heavy heart is what she said, I have concluded that I cannot remain silent with respect to this court's unusual decision to accept the government's unverified allegations as a barely satisfactory explanation for the government's delay in complying with its statutory obligations. I accept, is what she says, I accept as I must the panel's holdings in Jackson. It is the law of this circuit. Via Vest, the admissibility of the Vienna tapes. See United States versus Wilson. I do so, however, with great reservation as to the prudence of this court's decision to accept as fact crucial assertions made only in a brief and with the hope that in the future the government will make an appropriate record as to its real reason for any failure to comply with the requirement of Title III. That's what SAFER did. That's who SAFER is. And for Channel 7 to know this, for SAFER to know this, for Chuck Gowdy to know this, and then do that horrifying story as if what Jay Prince, Lil Larry Hoover Jr., and Kanye West and Kanye West and Drake did to bring about a concert to help stop the violence, to stop beefing in the name of fairness and redemption and in the name of humanity. We can't allow them to get away with this. So I'm publicly asking that ABC, Channel 7, and Chuck Gowdy either allow myself or someone else to show that what Safer did publicly in a matter of record, and to ask them to stop reporting on something that's good and that's right, that can save the lives of people in the city of Chicago, when the mayor trying to find a way, the governor trying to find a way, the county board president trying to find a way, the state's attorney, the police superintendent, the alderman, state reps, state senators, the community, and they're saying all hands on deck, and I'm saying it takes all of us. That's what I'm saying. It takes all of us. I'm doing what I got to do. They got to do what they got to do, and it starts with truth. And I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that. And there's many, many others standing on that. This went global. It's now a movement. People are seeing Larry Hoover as a human being. And the whole world is asking for fairness. I was at that concert. And I thank God how I was there, how I got there, how I witnessed. And like I tell everybody, what I witnessed was the resurrection. Thank you, Jay Prince, Ghetto Boys, and Larry Hoover Sr. From the resurrection of the 1990s to Jesus Lord in 2021. Thank you, Kanye, and the other artists that was on that song. And thank you, Larry Hoover Jr., for being a part of that. And I want to thank Amazon, the owner of Amazon, for being willing to stream that show to 240 countries. Thank you, Drake. Thank you, Canada, for knowing that we got to come together to help stop this. And as I close, I got to wind it up. I want to say this one little thing. Make sure you get the final call paper. Hey, Brother Omari, hit this one little note. This is that number 10 seconds. Hit that last story. The final call. Yes, that's it right there. Yes, please get the final call. I want to thank Brother Nabia, Muhammad, and Sister Charlene Muhammad for writing that story. Go online, Google that story. And with that, I want to say thank you. I want to say, Father God, thank you. And I want to say, make sure you get vaccinated if you haven't. If you have, get your booster shot. Wear your mask. And I want to say to God be the glory. That's my story.